I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as corrected. Somebody unmute yourself.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of last meeting.
Thank you, Mike. Do we hear a second?
A second.
Thank you, Christy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
That's great. The meeting minutes pass. All right. Moving on to communications and reports. Any PSBC members have anything?
I have a couple
Oh,
of,
go ahead. Go ahead, Doug.
I've been approached by some people concerning the parking situation at Mystic River. The lack of parking for faculty. There's concern about that, and we're getting really close to school opening. So people have been contacting me about this situation. Also, hopefully we will avoid having to have staff members park on Fishtown.
Let's see if we can't grab it for you.
I live on that road, so I know that having staff members park on that road is going to be an issue.
I too have that same communication, Doug, that was given to me. So that concern has been voiced. I know Sam, I didn't see Sam on him, but went there today. But right now I did receive the same update that Doug did, and the total spots that are needed are 26 spots still needed, despite, I think they went over today. And then they said they still need spots for visitors and parents. So it is a concern.
Have anybody that wants to address this?
So Sam did come to both sites. He came to Cutler. We went over the floor plans, and he also came to West Side today and went over the floor plans, and we gave him the total number of spots. Currently, right now, he's working on a plan. So we have not heard anything. This is Sam.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's gonna join the meeting, I'm sure.
He's on his way right now. He had a problem with the link.
Yeah.
I'll forward it to you in an email.
Yeah, we'll take care of getting Sam connected. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, let me send it to you.
I
Okay.
don't know
Yeah.
exactly what there is to be done about it at this moment. We definitely hear the concern. I know that there is that communication was given to us by Sam. Like I said, as Tammy indicated, we looked at the plans today. I can say that the approved plans, the number of parking spots that are in there are built. Doesn't change the fact that you may need more. But as far as what was planned, approved, P&Z, everyone else, however it went down throughout the whole process, and it meant, we double checked, and it did meet the intent of the ed spec as it was issued. So we understand that there is an issue, but as far as whether there was compliance with the ed spec and the plans, we can tell you that it is correctly built.
So a question I had that I passed on to Sam, and I just see nothing official on it. I've just got scuttlebutt back and forth, and I know something went to the superintendent. Sam told me he had discussed it with the superintendent. The one question I had is that purely a head count of all the people that are there, and is all the people on that head count there every day, all day? So that's one question.
Yeah.
We are
They are.
having not get fluent.
I had heard something similar, and I think what the issue ended up being, Jamie, tell me if you had heard the same, and Doug, is that with the specialized programs in the building, they end up with like 54 additional paras, which is different than
Right.
just the classroom teachers.
Yep.
And so once they realized the amount of kids that were going to be there and things like that, I think that's when the number jumped obviously
Right.
higher. I don't know if that's how you had heard it, Jamie, but I had
Yeah,
heard, that was
that's-
kind of the way I had heard it. I don't know about you, Doug.
It
Oh.
is, and just to answer your question, Rick, they are there all day, though it's more of a set hour. I think there was a full breakdown. I think Sam, you obviously have that full breakdown as far as the number of staff, certified staff and non-certified staff, but they are there all day, and that is exactly right, Christy.
Right,
It's the paraprofessionals.
Okay, so I have it. I'll be sitting with Sam and Tammy, and we'll be looking at it and let you know what. I have a couple ideas where something can be done. It may not be done as part of the project. It may have to be done at the end, but we'll take a look at it, see how it fits in. Right now, the main goal is to get the building done, get it open, and go from there. But I do have a couple ideas. One I mentioned to Sam briefly at Cutler. We did look at some room for expansion at West Side, but that's a little more difficult, requires a little more work, but we'll certainly get involved in that issue and figure it out and keep you folks involved.
One question, since this isn't brought up, more so on, Doug mentioned people parking on the street where the neighbors around there would have an issue. We have no say if someone is parked on the street, correct? That's a town and a police issue?
That's correct. I mean, if there's an issue with that, we have the traffic commission, if there's a particular issue like that, it typically goes on town streets traffic commission, but let's see if we can resolve the issue and go from there, or at least figure out where we are to start with.
Or I would just follow up with that and say, is ask the town to, if it's illegal parking, to put signs up if that's the case. If not, there's nothing we can say about it.
It's not illegal parking, so.
Okay.
And if you go to West Side, the road was, essentially it looks like it's widened because the lanes were put in, there was traffic markers on both sides, edge of pavement markers, if you will, the white lines and those sorts of things.
Yeah,
But certainly that doesn't answer the question, and we need to sit down and look at it in depth. So,
I think there was, when Cutler was up and running and they had events there,
Yeah.
there were always people parking on Fishtown Road.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that was intermittent. It wasn't
I
a
understand.
5-day-a-week thing. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's illegal. I'm just saying it's
I
kind of makes for an
understand.
inconvenience.
Well, and if we can resolve this, we'll look at it, see where we are, what we can resolve. In events, there still may be people parked on the road because that's just the nature of the beast, if you will. We did, when we went to planning at the city, for example, they said, "Oh, we need all these parking spaces for voting," and we're going, when does that happen, and how many people are actually on site when they're using the building for voting or not? So it's like, 200, 150 spaces or whatever, and 25 of them are full because that's the way people come and go there. So we'll certainly take a look at it. I'm not saying this is exactly what it is. I had a couple ideas. I did discuss one briefly with Sam, and we'll certainly take a look at it and get back to you. I mean, right now we're embroiled in getting the school open, so we'll have to take a look at that.
Let's keep in mind too, that we knew how many spaces were allotted for both projects at the time that this was done. I don't think I've ever seen a project that got to this point and somebody didn't say, "Oh, we don't have enough parking."
Right.
There's never enough parking.
Oh, right.
But I think the problem is that this is for daily.
We're aware, and
We understand.
It's going to be a big problem, and I just, the safety piece of it is always the other.
We understand. Let's just leave it with us and we'll get back to it and get on it as soon as we can. That's all I can tell you right now. I mean, we either have a school open or we have not, because we're doing other things. I mean, it's kind of a hard thing to say, but it's kind of a fact of life at this point, because we're really pushing to get the building done, and we'll look at the parking. And
I mean,
get
how
back to
many
you on that.
parking spaces are at Thames River? I didn't get that answer before.
114, 116.
114, 115.
Yeah,
Sounds about
it's
right.
over 100. Mhm.
So what are we short on at Cutler for Mystic River?
We're not really sure. We have to get an accurate count.
I know what numbers that I have presently, but I'm not even gonna throw numbers out right now, but
Yeah.
let's say that it's roughly 40 spots right now at both schools. But again, I need to confirm the numbers of the actual staff with Lori Lapine, the HR director. And then I spent the entire day today at both schools looking at some issues and some possibilities too. And Rick and I will get together and we'll come back with some ideas.
Okay, thanks. I didn't know it was both schools either, so thanks.
Yeah, we've had, like I said, secondhand comments from both in my perspective, because I hadn't seen anything officially. Okay. Thanks.
All right, moving. Anybody else, PSBC, have anything? Sounds like a no. Moving to consultants. We have none
No.
tonight.
No visitors tonight.
Staff and program.
Yep. I'll let Tammy go through the school stuff. We are moving ahead on both the elementary schools. I'll chime in a little bit on the tile and that sort of stuff. Let her give the basic reports. We've got, we are working toward closure on the middle school. I think we have one item left of work and one item of budgetarily, if you will, to close out. And then we should be able to submit that. But Tammy, if you want to go ahead and give your report.
Sure. All right, so I'm going to start off with the Groton Middle School, since that's pretty short. So we received information back from the design engineer on the glycol system. It seems to be that we need to add a bypass to the glycol system. So we're working with them to get that designed and over to O&G to install that particular item. As for the level spreader, so again, we're working with O&G to get Richards back out there. They are currently focusing on the elementary schools, getting that site up and running. So they're going to be going back out to the middle school to address the issue and fixing the grading to be per design.
We feel we do have accurate elevations on that. The town surveyor went out and looked at that, and the surveys don't match the final site plan. So we need to get that corrected. And once we get, after this week, hopefully next week, the week after, we get Richards back out there to do what they need to do to correct that issue.
Yep. The other thing is the Route 1 school sign. So again, we're still on schedule to have that completed by the middle of September. So we're just waiting for the actual sign material and metal panels. So that's that date still has not changed. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out is I did receive a letter from the state of Connecticut stating that our first 3 state change orders had been approved. So they did send us that information. So that means that they're starting to review all our state change orders for the project and starting to send feedback. And then we have, as Rick mentioned, we have one more contract to close out for the middle school. And that's pretty much it and where we stand for that project. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, Tammy, on the glycol, you say we need a bypass. Can you explain what the problem is that we need a bypass?
I'll take a stab at it. All right, so there is an automatic feeder that feeds the glycol system that causes pressurization into the heating loop side, okay? And on the heating loop side and on the cooling side, there's 2 separate pressurization tanks. One's working perfectly. One seems to continue to overpressurize the system. The engineer has indicated from CES that he believes that there is potential for a bad valve someplace, which he has told us to have the contractor go out there and look for a valve that is not functioning properly there. But besides that, the issue really comes from the night setback of the system. When the system goes into night mode, what's happening, or what he believes is happening, is you're not getting equalization of pressure across the chilled beams between the heat loop and the cool loop. So what he is suggesting is adding a small pipe that basically creates an equalization between the two pressurization tanks that will allow, when the night setback goes, that one doesn't go super high and one doesn't go low, or one doesn't stay consistent and the other one's trying to ramp up. So it appears that the issue is not a construction issue at the way it was installed. It has something to do with the way that the programming works, and based on the way that the building is programmed for the night setbacks to save energy, that it's causing unequal pressures to happen. So this loop will solve that problem. It will equalize the pressure on both sides of the coil, both heating and cooling at the chilled beams. I tried to give you the clip.
No, I got it, and I figured I asked, since it's a cardiac type problem at the same time, but it sounds like nobody's at fault, and this is just a remedy for a brand new system.
It would appear that that would be the case. It is hard to know if there is fault on the design side, let's say. I don't think that I'm maybe qualified to make that assertion, but I will say that based on what we've seen in his response, he has a solution for the problem. Where the responsibility lies as far as whether it's working correctly or not, it's hard for me to say, Kevin. I'm sorry.
Do we lose any not liability, but guarantee for the equipment?
No.
Okay.
No. The only thing, as a matter of fact, and I didn't get super deep into the weeds of what the problem really is, but as a matter of fact, it actually solves a bigger problem that could cause an equipment issue, which is overpressurization of one side of the loop. And because that was happening, to Sam's credit, and well, to his guys' credit too, is they were actually monitoring that, knowing that there was an issue, and removing the automatic feeder from continuing to boost the pressure on one side. So hopefully, if anything, we've mitigated a problem of causing equipment failure due to overpressurization. But the work still needs to be done.
Okay, so our future looks good with it, though. Okay, thank you.
I believe so, sir.
And don't call me sir.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Or Shirley.
That's okay.
Any other questions on the middle school? Hearing none. We'll let you move on, Tam.
All right, so I'll start with the Mystic River School. So currently, right now, we are working on punch list items throughout the building. We're finishing up the temporary installation for the entryway to take care of the security aspect until the ballistic doors or ballistic framing comes in and glazing. So they started doing that. We're also working on the final cleaning in the areas as well. And we have FF&E that is moving forward at Cutler, being distributed and also being built. The other thing is technology. It has been installed and it's up and running currently right now. The only thing that we're waiting for the technology aspect is the wireless access network controller, which controls the wireless access points in the ceiling. So that's the only last item that we're waiting for from Total Communications. The telephone systems have been installed at Cutler. They are up and running. So that's good news. We have trailers that have been arrived on site for the movers, about 2 to 3 trailers that they will start tomorrow morning, start unloading the trailers and bringing all the teachers' items into the school. beginning tomorrow, also Saturday and Sunday. And then also we will be working on FF&E over the weekend as well, getting that all situated and set up for the classroom wing and the rest of the building for the office staff as well. We are currently working on closeout items, working with the architect as well as the statement of special inspections, and getting all the final paperwork to receive the conditional TCO to allow the teachers to get into the building. So that's ongoing. And
Do we expect that we'll be seeing that?
so I expect to see that by Monday.
And we really don't need a CO, TCO to get the teachers in. There were some things like life safety items that had to be done. But what Tammy's been doing is pushing the architect so we can get the statement of substantial completion. So when 2 weeks down the road, when the students come in, we're all set with some sort of certificate of occupancy, whether it's a conditional, partial, temporary. But the town typically uses a conditional with those items that are listed. So when we get this AIA document, if you will, it'll come in, it'll be signed by the architect and the construction manager, and it will be transmitted to our friends over at building inspection, and they'll have that on record, and we can move forward with that. But that's one of the many documents that's required to get the final CO, if you will. At this point, it's more about life safety stuff and access and, safety kind of things, so.
Very good. Now you understand why I asked the question.
Yeah, you sure did. And there is a plan, and Tammy and the rest of the staff has been working on that as far as access to the building and that kind of stuff. I don't know if she'll go into that tonight, but there is, that information will be out, and there will be signs, I guess, placed and areas not to go into and that sort of thing. So all the work in progress at this point.
Correct. So for the site work, they are currently laying down the rest of the topsoil and getting that all situated, as well as the last bit of the trees that needed to be installed on site. So those are also being completed as well. The Fishtown Brook Bridge has been completed. So we asked for a final inspection for the work. So we're working on getting that inspection tomorrow, if not first thing next week. Let's see, and that's all I had for Mystic River.
So Christy, have you seen the bridge?
I have not yet. I've been trying to stay out of Tammy's way and hair, and I didn't want her to see me like poking my head through the fence yet, but I have a 7-year-old who basically thinks she's walking to school tomorrow. So she wants to know why she can't go yet. So I told her to be patient.
Well, you can go to the bridge on the back path.
I might do that. She's
She
got two
needs to
friends
put her
in
in
that
heels
backyard.
in concrete.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
she's standing at the top of the stairs. She goes, I heard that. I heard that.
And actually the turf they put down there appears at this point, it's much better than what was put down at the middle school. It's really a design. It's really great to walk on, is what we should say.
She just wants to check out the swings in the playground. That's the big priority right
Yeah,
now.
well,
She wants
yeah.
to be the first on the zip line.
Well, we had somebody scoping that out earlier that we had asked to leave the site because it wasn't quite safe yet. But
Yeah, I hear you.
along with that, we really didn't get into the tile issue, which we can. I mean, they're moving along. They've got the third floor, obviously all of the ceiling done. They were finishing up the hallway on the first floor. The second and third floor hallways will not be done at this particular time. So those are, I think, all those rooms will be the ones that are completed now, and we'll have to work with a plan with Sam and obviously GPS on how we get in to put down the rest of the tile. The fellas, the two tile companies that are working it are really doing a bang up job getting the old tile out, getting it clean, getting it put down. I might tell you, and I think I may have alluded to you, Bob, what the cost may be. Right now, we have a cost of about $306,000, which we expect to receive a pretty big chunk back from insurance, but that doesn't include those couple hallways, or actually the main hallway plus the other 2 floors that won't be done prior to school starting, and maybe a couple smaller areas. So it is moving along. The new tile, they're doing a great job putting it down. You'll see some plank tile in some rooms, some that's the same color, which are the 18 by 18. But overall, the school is looking good as far as those areas have been completed with the tile. So, and we've had no issues really putting it down. The moisture's been good, temperature control in the building's been good. So right now we don't see.
So that was
any
going to be
issues
my
with that.
question. The stuff that they've put down, we don't see any of the issues that we had with the previous material.
No, you know, there's a couple corners, but in that particular case, it's something that's not rolled down or not cut right, or, you know, by one of the doors, I saw a piece that was not quite cut right, that just need to be trimmed and pushed down into place, you know, but we haven't seen anything at all similar to what we saw before.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yep.
So it
After
must be the
insurance,
product rather than,
Right.
after putting this down, insurance cost and everything else, are we losing money on this?
I don't know, Kevin, because I don't know what the insurance company is going to give us back. I can't answer that question right now, but as soon as I do have an answer, I can pass it on, certainly.
Okay,
We are at this point too, taking out of the CM contingency.
right.
With the CM on both, the contingency for the CM on both jobs is in the neighborhood $600,000. That would be money that would be turned back to us. But since it's that sort of issue, is that taken out of your contingency, which we did a similar thing on those last minute things we had done at the middle school. But we still got a couple $100,000 back in addition to what we had in our own contingency. So that's kind of the plan again.
Yeah, Kevin, to answer your question, the best case scenario would have this as a break even between, you know,
Yeah.
insurance covering a bunch of it and then,
Right.
break even is fine.
Yeah.
I just don't want to lose money on this deal.
Oh, we understand. And we haven't got into the who shot who part of the business because we got to get the work done first and then we'll get into that. I'm sure the insurance company will be of
And-
great assistance with that. Yeah.
and Kevin, as you know, anytime you go into litigation, no one wins. So
Yeah.
Understood, I am not.
Billable hours. Okay. Anything else, Tammy, from you? I have nothing else for that.
No, nothing else for Mystic River. Any other questions or comments? No? Cricket?
So we have no reason to be concerned at this point that the school will not open on time. Is that correct?
No concerns.
Yes. Yes, I guess. Yeah, yes, no concerns. So the answer is, there is, you will still potentially see some temporary doors at the access
Right.
entryway. That wall is in place. It has to be taped and painted. But the structure is in place with the new doors or the solid doors that were provided there. So those areas like that and some of the other doors which are coming in very late, we'll put those that will be put in the important areas first, then move around the building as they have time to do that. So that's,
So I've been watching the installation at Thames River. Those are going to be the same type of doors at Cutler. Is that correct?
right, that's correct.
Correct.
That's what I thought.
Yep. And those doors, we're not going to lose them when we're done and we take them out. They're not going to the contract. They're not going away. They're going to Sam's storage shed, wherever that may be. So he'll be able to use those in wherever he needs them in the district at that
You're
point.
going to Sam's private school?
Well, where he says no. Make surfboards out of them, Sam. Take them right down to the beach.
I think the most important narrative to answer your question, Bob, is through all the walkthroughs that we've done for the entire week here with the authorities having jurisdiction, there really hasn't been any indication of any deal breakers of anything that would cause us
Right.
to be denied occupation of the building. Obviously, there's, like everybody's indicated, some of that work, but as far as from the AHJ's perspective, I think they've been, brought in often probably more times than they actually wanted to. And they've been walked through a number of
With
times.
good reason.
Yeah, but I think that there's no large deal breakers out there that causes us not to occupy.
I just wanted to know that, going forward, we can say, as of today, we have no reason to believe that that's not what's going to happen.
I believe that's a fair statement.
And we have one more of these meetings before we open, so we should be able to get a final or 99 and 99 100ths report at that particular meeting and let you know that we're good to go.
Because never's a very long time.
Oh, I understand.
Understood.
Any other questions? Then I guess we can move on to Thames.
All right, so Thames River is a pretty similar status as Mystic River. So again, we're working on punch list items and working on the temporary enclosure for the ballistic entry. So that's going on with drywall and taping. And we're also working on punch list items. And then FF&E again is being delivered and distributed, and that will continue on throughout the weekend. Technology here, we are 95% complete. We had one item that we needed to order, and that has been ordered and installed. So we're working with Clint Kennedy to resolve that issue, and that should be completed hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow. The other item, and the same similar situation with the wireless access points. So we're waiting for the wireless access controllers to allow the wireless access points to operate within the building. We're also working on final cleaning. We're starting in area C and working our way throughout the building. We do have 3 trailers on site here with the faculty items, and they're going to start unloading the trucks tomorrow morning and start bringing in the boxes in the classroom wing first. And then on site, we're working with topsoil, and then we're going to get the landscaper back to address the grass here to come up with a plan and how to resolve the grass to make it grass instead of weeds. And then working on closeout items as well. And then I'm working with the architect, very similar with Mystic River, is getting the substantial completion paperwork, and as well as a statement of final inspections to get that over to the AHJ. Let's see, and then for LVT flooring, so we have finished the LVT flooring here in area C, and then they're working on area A in the flooring in the choral room and the art rooms currently right now. And then they're going to be working on the faculty room and getting that replaced. The rest of the flooring will remain until we have a schedule and coordinate with Sam and Jamie and with the staff.
Well, yeah, let me jump in a little bit. I'll add a couple things to what Tammy's saying. We were waiting for a plan for the cafeteria, if you will, to finish that, because the cafeteria floor is not laid down in West Side. It is in Cutler. So there's like half a hallway down by the cafeteria that will be installed with the new tile. There's a plan for the cafeteria tile, if you will, and it requires some of the tile from Cutler, who had an abundance of this particular to make the pattern that showed on the plans, if you will. It was kind of half one color diagonally and half the other color. So as Tammy said, the art rooms are the next priority. You know, the hallways there are not being done at this particular time in area C. So the priorities are the art room, the cafeteria, and then the teachers' dining area, because those tiles are suffering a similar fate where they're popping up, and it's not worth repairing. It would be better just to take them out and get them in. But that's the third priority. So, and then we'll look at other things if there's any time or material available. So on both these schools, once they get completed laying what tile they have, they're going to have to look and see what areas are not finished and what additional tile needs to be ordered for both the schools. What we did is we tried to use the tile that was available, that was of a color acceptable to the architect. It was as close as it could be, and actually the gray over at Thames River is almost exactly the same color as the gray that was in there previously. It just looks a little bit different. So we used the tile that was available to us, and then we'll have to fill in, with the accents and the remaining tile that's required to finish those other spaces at the end. So, and then again, it's a coordination with the school district and SAM to figure out how that works and how much time it takes.
So Rick, how much of that do we actually have on hand, and how much is
We have,
ordered or not ordered, or?
well, we have all of what we're planning to put down right now. We probably have a little abundance of some, so it depends on timing as to whether we can do some additional, not small areas, but certainly not enough for the main hallway in either school, if you will. So those will have to be ordered. So, obviously.
What kind of back order time are we looking at?
We
have no
really
idea.
don't. Yeah, we don't have any idea right now. I mean, we were fortunate to have a number, and they are different die lots. So you may, and it would be very difficult to look at one room and look at another room, which the die lots are different die lots and the color's a little bit different. But in the new tile we order is going to be probably another die lot, if you will. So what they're doing is they're putting it down, checking their stock, and then as soon as they get that stock resolved, which they've been really pretty good at doing that, we should be able to order the rest of it here within the next week or so, and then we'll be able to determine what the lead time is and that sort of thing. Lead time was a problem earlier because it was such a huge amount of tile, and that's why we were kind of forced into using what was available. The short runs of the colors, if you will, the accent colors were supposed to be a little bit less. And those have been ordered. And I don't have a lead time on those yet, Tammy. I don't know if you've gotten one or not.
No, I have not.
But those small accent, 500 or 600 square feet of tile has been ordered. So we'll have to check on that, and then we'll get the other order, the bulk of the tile ordered as soon as possible here. And then once we know that, we also asked the contractors to give us some time frames for what it takes to do A, B, or C, for example. A hallway or main area or what, so we can put some sort of plan together, a longer term plan, so we can get it installed as quickly as we can.
Yeah, I mean, one of my concerns is that some of this tile may not be available for an extended period of time.
Right.
And we may not have access to the
Right.
tile layers.
Right. Well, I don't believe that would be an issue. I mean, we've been able to work through that. I mean, there was one company at Cutler, Mystic River, that really stepped up and did a bang up job for him. And that was like 2 days after we called him or so. And he was on site stripping the floors, doing 2 of the floors and looking for more work. And we said, well, why didn't you bid on it? There was a piece of paper he didn't have filed or something, so he couldn't have bid on the project. But we don't think it's going to be a problem getting the tile layers cleaners. It's going to be more of a matter of timing and scheduling and how long it takes to do a hallway. For example, if it could happen on a weekend, you start on a Friday night or right when school gets out. Start stripping, cleaning, and potentially being able to lay down the tile on Sunday or not. But that discussion needs to be had yet. But we'll keep you cut in, let you know how that works out. So much for floor tile. Just get linoleum and be done with it.
Long, deep breath, let it out slowly.
Yeah, I know. We've had a lot of those lately.
All right, Tammy, did you reach the end of your list?
I did. Does anyone have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, and more so for Rick. The cement work outside of Thames. The
On
55,000.
Brandy Avenue,
scheduled?
they were supposed to start demoing this week. So I believe we were told they were going to demo, and this is the Brandy Avenue sidewalks, right?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. So So we ought to see them out there next week. We'll check tomorrow to make sure they're gonna be out there. But yeah, we need them to get out there to start the demo. You know, the city has done some of the sidewalk further on up the street.
Right.
So I think once they move down to get ours done, and once they move down to where we are, it's gonna be a nice new sidewalk all along there, which will be
So
great.
it's gonna be the same people doing the work.
No, we don't know that. No, it's gonna be
Well, you
our
think-
contract. It'll be our contract to do the work.
Right, okay.
Richards.
Yeah, the other was the city itself.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And I heard they do good sidewalks.
Yeah,
You
They
know,
do.
so if they could get
Yeah.
together with our guys who do good paving, then we'd be all set, you know.
and the other comment I have, or is a request by you, Rick, is I did bring up the area which I mentioned about should we fence or not fence between Avery Apartments and Thames River.
Right,
All I want to know if the lawyer says that we are not going to be liable for kids walking in there and falling into those pits. Because I walked the area more so coming through the Avery homes around there, and it's very treacherous coming in from Colonial Matter or that area where kids do walk through. I just want to make sure that we're not going to be liable if kids get hurt in there.
well, and if you're talking about pits, don't know where those pits are.
I'm breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, you said pits, Kevin. What pits are we talking
So
about?
if you go past the grass line, as you come in the driveway, go down, there's broken down trees, there's a valley in there that drops down and everything else. I just want to make sure these young kids,
Well, I think the best thing to do is to check our survey and see where that property line is. Would be the first thing to do. And if it doesn't fall on our property, how can we be held liable, I guess?
that's all.
Well, but
all
we'll
I
certainly,
wanna
we'll
check
certainly take a
ourselves.
look. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I'll have to walk out there and see what you're talking about. I'm not that familiar with it, so we'll take a walk.
Okay,
Okay. And if you don't hear from me in a few days or Bob doesn't, please remind me because we're
It
doing
means he
things.
fell down in one of the pits.
Yeah, that's right. I have
I
my
know where
hand
you
up.
live.
Nobody
Don't worry
saw it
about
because I
it.
got a short arm. Okay, thanks, Kevin.
okay.
Anything else? Do we have any update on when the screening might be available now?
It's still coming the end of the month.
Okay.
I mean, some of the materials are arriving shortly, I guess. They'll be put up on the roof. And then, as I recall, Tammy, and then they'll be installing it really like the first week potentially, but we'll have to work that out. It may be an after hours kind of thing because school's in session, but
Yeah, so
That's-
some of the material is arriving on site now. And
That's what I
they're-
thought.
Yeah, and they're working on getting a crane within the next
yeah, to
couple
mo-
days
to
and
move it up.
next week. Yeah,
To move it up, but it's not the priority. There's metal panels on some of the schools. There's other stuff that needs to be done by those guys before, overhead, I guess, and the entryways and that sort of thing before they get into the rooftop screening stuff. So it could be done before school opens, but if it's not, it'll have to be an after hours thing. But right now it's getting the material up there and not having that big a crew that you can do all those things at one time,
Understood. Anyone else have anything?
Well,
But I have seen the front doors now at Thames River.
Yep.
That whole doorway entry set up, and it looks like it's going to work pretty well. Have we figured out the issues that Jamie was dealing with 2 weeks ago about identifying people and?
Brian's been looking at that. We haven't come up with the final solution, but we have come up with a couple ideas. So we'll have to discuss that with Sam, and Sam can get with you, Jamie, or we can get with you and see if that's satisfactory. It's not, we're not really able to put in the permanent items, if you will, because it
Right.
requires an electronic strike or whatever at the door. and those sorts of things. So we'll have to get that plan together and get with you and figure out whether it works for you or not.
That would be something I would see as a relatively high priority, given the timing.
Yeah, understand.
Okay.
Okay.
And just to make sure, if you can just bear with me, just to make sure, the issue is that once people enter into that secure entrance area,
No, that's not the issue. So the issue is that they shouldn't even be allowed into that secured area until we talk to them through the phone. I can't station someone at the door for the entire day. There's not staff available for that. That is the concern. And I'm not going to put that staff member in any kind of harm's way or say you're the designated person when they're supposed to be dealing with students. So we have to have a communication system that we can talk to the people that come with a video camera to the door. That was the biggest thing.
I understand. What I was trying to say was the issue is talking to them at the front door, or the issue is talking to them once they're in the secured area.
So I'm not quite sure then I understand what your secured area is. So before they even get into any doorway system. So if you have the door, then you have I'm assuming you're saying the secured area is once their front door, then there's the
It's the
area.
vestibule, yeah.
If you will.
Right, so most schools, what happens is once they come into that area, right, it is a secured area that they can't enter into the school or they can't enter into the office.
How do they get in?
They only can enter out.
How do they get into that area?
Well, that door right there has, I believe at both schools, on the main door itself, it's supposed to have a electronic strike and lock situation.
Then if that's the case, that's great. So I don't have to station someone there, and then we have to have a communication system. So that's my thing. I guess I must have misunderstood, because from what I heard last meeting was that they can't get into even that secured spot.
So I think that this is why I was asking the question, to make sure that I understood that it was, if they get into the secured spot, because we can pretty much make sure that happens, they can get into the secured spot. I just wanted to make sure the issue was making sure there was some sort of communication so that people in the office can talk to the people that are there without allowing them into the building at all.
Correct. Yep. And if there can be a video cam too, to see them walking up to the building.
So Brian, it's basically like the middle school. We're
So let's
outside. We
do
don't have
this.
the button. We have the camera. We have the communications outside the front, the outside door.
Yeah, I understand. It's just there's a
Yeah,
couple,
understand. Yep.
there's a couple ways to skin the cat here, and I have a few ideas.
Let's take this offline, guys, because we're not going to solve it tonight. What I suggest is that
Yep, we'll go with it.
you
Look
guys
at the
set up a
ideas.
meeting with Jamie,
Yeah.
Sure.
Doug, and anyone else who's going to have to deal with this, so that you can actually see what the reality of this is and discuss this with each other.
Mhm.
And then
Okay.
let me know how it goes.
Yep.
Because
you,
this is something that I thought we had put together 2 weeks ago and doesn't seem to have gotten off the ground.
Nope, doesn't. So we're coming on Monday. So if we could do that, that'd be great, because it is major priority, as are the parking lots. So
That's something that we can set up during our walkthrough.
No
We'll-
problem.
We'll work it out. Yep.
great. Thank you.
Thanks,
welcome.
everybody. Okay, we've got that one under control for now. Anybody have anything else? Do we have any new business? I hear nothing.
Hey, Bob, did you want to report on the Fitch High School project?
That's what I was going to next.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I don't have an agenda, so I didn't know it was on there. Okay,
I didn't put it on. I forgot.
something popped up here. Let me get rid of that.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so the Fitch High School asbestos project. We had a couple of change orders come up. We found some additional rooms that had carpeting in them that some staff members had thrown over the top of asbestos tile, which were not in the original plan. So those rooms came to about $33,000 additional to remove the asbestos and include the new tile after. That, along with cove base, was left off of the original plan from the designer. So there's an additional, I'm giving you round numbers, $8,000 in cove base. And the floor leveler itself is a budget number, and they've run over on the floor leveler because some of the concrete was not as sturdy under the tile. And so it took some more additional floor leveler at about $10,000. So those additional items still leave us under budget by about $21,000 as of today. So we're still under budget on that project. If you asked me last week how I was feeling about opening school on time at Fitch High School, I would have told you that I had serious reservations, but as of today, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. There are just a few small rooms that we need to do, and our staff is beginning to start to, once the tiles come in, once the tiles are laid, there's still a protective finish on them. So our staff has to actually strip that off and then wax after that. So they're going to begin that on Monday morning, and we're expecting staff in there on September 1st. So we think we've got plenty of time to get that done. So we're rolling along there on that project. Under budget, looks like it'll be on time, and everybody's happier now.
So how many rooms are we talking that were affected by this?
Well, the reason that it was about $30,000 over is because they are smaller rooms. For instance, oh, Dave's not on tonight. There is a booster club room that is down by the gymnasium. On the back side of the gymnasium, there's another room. So these are individual rooms that are off by themselves in places. So it's not going to be one large containment. It's going to be many small containments. And the greatest cost in the asbestos project is usually doing the containments themselves. So
Understood.
these are individual containments throughout, mostly down in the athletic section of the building.
So these aren't going to impact classroom activities at all in any way, are they?
No,
Okay.
no, and they'll be done before, we'll have them all done before school actually starts. So that won't be a problem.
Excellent. Anyone have any questions for Sam?
Yeah, hey, Sam, your floor level, is there liquid that just spread across the floor to level it all out? Well, it's a powdered concrete type material that they add water to, and it's pretty loose when they put it on. They have it looks like a round brush, essentially, with bristles, like a roller, that is the right depth, and they roll that along and it levels it out to that to between an 1/8 and a 1/4 inch thickness, and it levels from that point.
I've seen it on wooden floors when they level out wooden floors.
Yeah, so it's
to put in the
a little
tiles and
different than
everything
that, but it does the same purpose. Yep.
Same purpose. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? And I don't think we have any new business beyond this.
No, sir.
And if anybody has a last comment or a question, put it forth now. Hearing none, I will thank all of you for your time and effort and wish you all a great weekend.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Meeting's adjourned.
Good night.